So this afternoon's class is a new class we've thrown into the rotation. It is our mobile device class. And Keith, I do think I get some feedback from you, so I'm just going to mute you. If you have a question, just use a little chat and I'll unmute.
Okay.
All right. What I was stating is this is a new class we've thrown into the rotation. First time we've had this class, the mobile device class, where ultimately the goal is we'll go over the setup of the mobile devices, the different options we have as far as setting up the users and technicians, managing a route schedule from our app either on the iPhone or Droid. What I'll be showcasing is the Droid application. It's easier for me to share a screen that way, but 95% of it holds true for the iPhones and the Apple users. And I do want to stress that this is a live demo, and it being the first time, any errors I encounter, I apologize. I've tested this prior to this class, and everything seems to be running smoothly, so we'll give it the best shot here. Now, the way our mobile devices work is we want to kind of picture it as a really a field management for the technicians. This isn't designed to run the service program from the field. It's more of an add-on to the desktop application, allowing your technicians to view work orders, complete them in the field, bill out line items, manage a route schedule, and create what we call route tickets, which is basically a work order for the reoccurring scheduled route services. You have the customer management and kind of light inventory management as far as being able to see what items are in the item list and add those to invoices, tasks, or route tickets. The software is best used, or kind of big picture is everything does come back to the office first. So nothing from the app directly goes into QuickBooks or to a customer. Everything is synchronized back to the office where then it can be emailed or invoiced into QuickBooks and then sent to the customer, for instance. Now, most of our users, right away, the first thing you start working with is our task list, which if you played around with the program or started to get into it, your task list is kind of your hub for all your open action items, work orders, memos, follow-ups, notes, and those can be managed from the mobile device. What we require to set up in the user list is for our different employees, we need to set up a password, and then we also need to give them a security level. The security level controls kind of what they can see on the mobile device. For instance, a basic user would really only be able to see the customers that are assigned to them if they're on the route schedule, for instance. I recommend all the field techs be level 2 unless they're a manager where you want them to see, for instance, like all open tasks, regardless if they're assigned to that user or not. Our default task view allows us to control what each technician sees, whether we want some techs to see stuff only entered by a certain user or assigned to them. If we set a tech to security level 1 and all open tasks, they're going to see everything regardless of who it's assigned to. They'll see all the route schedule stops, and you can filter and sort within the app to drill down to see just one schedule or one technician. And we recommend to keep things simple. You default the PDA username, for instance, is the same thing as the username on the far left. There is one more column, Process PDA Completed Tasks. And this is more for the desktop side, and we'll see a demonstration of this in a moment. But if we were to, for instance, complete a task on a mobile device, we have an option in the software that will let you automatically complete the field completed, or the ones the techs have completed in the field, and it takes those and turns them into open invoices in our software. And you can pick and choose which of your staff is allowed to have that functionality by just checking or unchecking process PDA completed tasks. Now, for those of you who run routes, I recommend that we just quickly take a look at our route schedule. And I've set up 2 technicians and a couple stops for different days here to demonstrate. I'm going to double click on my technician name and it brings me to my route or subassigned list. Here you'll see a field PDA username, and to help try to explain the connection, we also want to make sure that, let's say, Route 1, it's referencing username R1 on the user list. So I also have R1 set up, and this actually controls his login. So for this route, for Route 1's route to be seen on the mobile device, we would just need to make sure we're linking his technician name here to a user on the user list. That way he has a username and password. And this way, if they're on both lists, if you assign, let's say, a task to Route 1, and Route 1 also has a route schedule, they're kind of all going to the same device. Now, if a route technician has security level 2, they're only going to see the stops that are on their schedule. If a route technician has security level 1, they're going to see all stops, just like an admin would. Before I move on into actually kind of running through a quick demo of the application and sharing that on my screen, does anyone have any questions kind of on the setup of the mobile devices as far as creating the users, what we can and can't do? All right. I'm going to go ahead and open up the service program on my Android device. And it's asking me for a username and password, which this is the username and password we've set up on the user list in the software. There's also a little tool and wrench icon down in the bottom right. That's the settings button. And just to quickly look at this, this is where we, when we help you with the mobile install, we input this notorious server URL. That's, in my opinion, a pain in the butt to get in there, but once we have it in there, we're done. We only have to do it once. This just points the app to the computer that's running as the host for the mobile devices. And occasionally, you know, if we're troubleshooting anything, one of our techs may ask you, we may have to re-enter the server URL, and just so you're aware, this is where we're talking about where we may have to re-enter. I'm going to go ahead and log in under the admin account just so we can see everything. All right, and I apologize, this device does take a little longer to sync the way I'm running a simulated Android phone. So anytime we sync, just bear with me. Now once we've logged in, we'll see our app navigation. This is what I consider to be the home screen of the app. We can go to our task list, route schedule, we can look at our customer list, perform an invoice entry, look at our item list, or log out and be taken back to the login screen. On the Android device, this green arrow in the bottom right is our sync button. So every time we want to communicate with the host PC or the server PC on your network, we need to press that sync button. And this is a two-way sync. What it's going to do is it's going to send any work that's completed from the device. It's also going to check for anything new that's been created for this device, or like any new tasks, for instance, or route schedule updates or changes. Just because a lot of us are running this on a mobile phone, we're not always on a true Wi-Fi network. We're using a data connection. There are variables out of our control. Signal strength, if we have 1-2 bars, you may have increased sync times. There may be some data loss. To prevent this, some of the best advice I can give you is make sure you're stationary when the techs are syncing. We don't want the techs to be syncing while they're driving in between stops, especially nowadays when we have a lot of the areas getting the 4G networks and 4G devices. A lot of times if you're moving around, your device will skip from 4G to 3G. It'll hop between the two data networks as they become available. During that time, it intermittently loses its active data connection until it connects to the next cell tower, for instance, and gets a 3G or 4G signal. So what I usually recommend is after the tech, let's say, does a task or a route ticket, when he's ready to sync, just make sure he's standing still and just hit the sync button before he goes off to the next job site. If you want to use this as real time as possible, that's also the best practice. Is if you, if he syncs after every job site, he'll then be able to get work close to real time as possible. Let's say new tasks. So if I go to my employee task list, you'll see I have my one task on my mobile device, just like I do on my desktop. It is assigned to the scheduled user of admin. And the scheduled user is a field you don't see on the desktop, but quick description, the scheduled user is either the assigned to or the sub-assigned to. So on the desktop, if I were to assign this task to admin, the scheduled user, basically whose device it goes to, is the one logged in as admin. If I were then to leave that assigned to admin but sub-assigned to, let's say, Bill, the scheduled user now becomes Bill. It would only be shown on then Bill's device. Now our task follows the kind of same color scheme. It's outlined in yellow, letting us know it's due today. And any tasks that are past due will be red, anything upcoming will be green. The admin account, or anyone with that security level 1 and all open tasks, will be able to use the drop-down and filter maybe which tasks they want to see. Everything assigned to, let's say, service. Of course, we have no tasks assigned to service. I could also filter my task by date. I can click the date icon in the top here in the toolbar, and I could filter for a different date and only see tasks for that date. Now by default, we see 7 days worth of tasks. So you have a 7-day window of what's on your task list and what the mobile devices see. Anything outside of that 7-day window, if it's something due 2 weeks from now, you won't see it yet on the mobile devices. We can control this in the software just by going into Miscellaneous Info, System, sorry about that, Miscellaneous Info, System, and then Control Table Maintenance. I then can go to the PDA Info tab, and then number of days out on PDA. These two dates control how far in advance our technicians can see tasks that are assigned to them. So if I want them to see basically a 2-week schedule, I could adjust these numbers to 14. And that would take effect on your next sync. Now to open up this task and see the details, on my mobile device, all I have to do is tap anywhere in that box that's outlined in yellow. This brings up task details just like it does on the desktop, where I can kind of see an overview of the task. It's assigned to admin, who the customer name is, the phone number I can tap to call the customer, the address. If you're running the newest Android version and the newest iOS version, the mapping is fixed. We finally addressed that little bug. You can now actually see a blue dot of your current location and then a push pin of where the customer is. Now to edit this task and fill out any details, all I have to do is hit the green plus sign, or excuse me, the green arrow here right next to Task ID. Here I could change the information, assign it to another tech, or further sub-assign it. I could change start time and end time to reflect maybe actually how long I was there on the site. As I scroll down, I see my task type, I see my task description, I also see a resolution. So if I was completing this and I was maybe had to go on site and do a quote for a customer, my resolution simply could be done. I'm just going to let the office know possibly that this task was done or finished. Maybe I want to go ahead and bill out some line items. I can scroll down to the bottom and tap the line items button. And then can hit the plus sign in the top right-hand corner to look at my item list. Now to add an item, I just tap where it says please select an item. I'm now looking at my item parents. Now I highly recommend you use what we call item parents, or basically creating an item category in QuickBooks and then sub-items. If you got over 1,000 items, which I do in this database, there's no way these guys are going to be able to scroll through and find what they need without you creating these categories. That way they can quickly go through, find the item they need. For instance, you could create a category called field items, and in there you could put the items for quick selection for them in the field. Any items that don't have a parent or a category would be displayed under no parent. So maybe I'm going to go ahead and do a service item here. Maybe I can add labor. I could put in a description. And then to add this to the task, I just hit the Save button on the Android device. It'll take me back to the line item screen where we'll be able to see the item that was added. And I can hit the plus sign again to add another item. Or if I want to remove this item, I just need to do what's called a long hold on the item, where I could just tap and hold on the item. And it'll ask me, do I want to delete it, or I could edit it to change the quantity or price. If I'm finished adding line items on the Droid device, we just hit back. I then could check off that this is complete and I did provide a resolution. In our newest app for iPhone and Droid, you'll see a spot for signature. We are currently working on the desktop update that allows us to view the signatures on tasks, invoices, and route tickets. It should be done by the end of next week. But it's already in our mobile devices. You can go ahead and start capturing signatures. They're stored in the database. You'll then be able to view any of them that you've done maybe prior to our update. But it is available to you. If I'm finished editing the task, I can just hit the Save button in the top right-hand corner. And it's imperative that, especially on the Droid devices, since there is a little handy back button that we use for a lot of the navigation, if we go back without saving, we're going to lose anything we've done here. So on the Androids, make sure you hit the little floppy disk icon to save. Now I'm back to my task details where I can hit the back button. I'm going to go all the way back to the home screen of the app and hit sync. Now my device is synced, so I'm just going to go back to the desktop here. And it is a managed sync as far as the desktop is concerned, so to send any new work to the mobile devices or to get anything that's completed, we just have to hit Sync Mobile Devices on the top toolbar. PDA update complete. And right away, since I am logged in as admin on the desktop and I have that option to process PDA completed tasks, you'll see that I have a little button at the very top of my screen that right next to the word list, an employee task list that says process PDA completed tasks. This only shows up when you have completed tasks from the field that are ready to go to, let's say, an open invoice, and you must have that option, process PDA to completed tasks, for this to show up. And again, that option was on miscellaneous info, system, and then user maintenance, where I turn that on. So if I go ahead and open this up, you're going to see the resolution I had entered. You'll also see the line items we added from the field, made it all onto the task. And now I can go ahead and hit process. It'll ask me there is one pending PDA ticket to process. Would you like to do it now? Click yes. And now it's taken it off my task list. It's marked it as complete. And it now sits as an open invoice ready to go to QuickBooks. Any questions on the kind of managing the tasks from the mobile devices?
I have one about the parent items. Where do you go to create those?
Those are done in QuickBooks. Let me just open up my QuickBooks here and I'll show you. So I'm going to go to my item list in QuickBooks. Let me get into the right company file here. So in my item list, if you have the, if you see mine, how I have like some items and then I have indented items underneath them.
Yeah.
That is because I have under the item button at the, excuse me, the item button at the bottom, I have the hierarchical view. That's a tough word to say. I have this view turned on. And that allows me to kind of see the item parent and then sub-items. But I could take any item, let's say I make a new one. I'm going to make maybe a service item. I'm going to make this my parent item. I'm just going to call it parent. So I've got my parent item. Now I'm going to add sub-items. So I'm just going to go again to new item. Make it a service item. This could be sub-item 1. Then I could check that this is a sub-item of, and now I select the item parent, or what I want to use as the category. So now I have a parent with a sub-item.
And do you have to create the sub-items, or can you just use some items that you already have on there?
I can open up any existing item, check sub-item of, and make it a sub-item of another item.
Okay, awesome.
The only requirements are you can't make a inventory item the sub-item of a service item. So they have to be items of the same type, if that makes sense. Now, if we have routes set up in the service program, as long as our usernames are set up correctly, we'll be able to see those routes when I go to route schedule on the mobile device. And right now I'm logged in as admin, so I'm seeing all the routes. Now what a tech sees, for instance, let's go back here and let's log in as the technician that I've set up. And let's say I'm route 1. So I'm going to log in as R1 and go. Now if I've set this up correctly, we should only be able to see R1's route. I shouldn't be able to see my other technician's route. This is also kind of recommended as best practice. Whoop. Let's see here. There we go. So now as I'm logged in as R1, it is only showing me R1's route. And by default, I see, right now I only have 2 days set up in the service program. I've got stops for today, Tuesday, and stops for tomorrow, Wednesday. And they're in order by date and then by stop. So I see my 3 stops for 5:14 in order, 1, 2, 3, and then for 5:15, 1, 2, 3. I could click the icon in the top right to just show one day, maybe just today's. And if I tap on a route or a stop here, it's going to bring me to route schedule details. And this is just kind of like what we do with tasks. When you tap on the task, it gives you kind of the details of that route stop. I can map to the customer, click on a phone number to quickly call the customer, I'd be able to see the subdivision or gate code if it was set in the service program. I also see route notes, which in the software, my first stop here, call customer before arrival, appears right in the route notes. So the route notes is really the best spot to give your route techs a message about that particular account, whether it's listing off particular services that need to be done, or if it's a simple memo like this. He sees it before, right when he taps on that stop, before he does any type of route ticket. Now to create what we call a route ticket in the software, and this is what the route technicians use as kind of a invoice or service slip or work order when they're out in the field, is on the Droid device we hit the top right hand corner where it says, looks like a little movie stub and a plus sign. On a iPhone or iOS device, it'll have a button at the bottom of this page that says ticket entry. Now I have my company type set to general service. If you're a pool company or you do any type of roll-off or septic, there's a sanitation option which allows you to control dump sites, pickup locations, some of the rental stuff. General service route tickets allow you to basically clock in, clock out, enter comments and line items, and your pool version of the route ticket gives you all the chemical data. Tracking of the chlorine, pH, alkalinity, checking off whether you skim, tile, brush, vacuum, etc. So I can go ahead and maybe enter the start time. I can enter some comments. Any notes I want to send back to the office, recommended services. I could then hit the end time or when I'm leaving the job or basically clocking out. Now I can add line items. Works the same just like tasks. Brings me to the line item screen where I can hit the plus sign. I then can select an item. Again, let's say I want to add maybe labor. Save that line item. And then can hit the back button. And I would want to save my route ticket in the top right-hand corner. Now there's one nice feature about the Droid that my version is going to demonstrate and show you that you will have available to you very shortly. Our next version, the version we're working on that has all the signature stuff, also we've wrapped up the route ticket history. So as you can see, I've done a route ticket on my mobile device. That stop is now highlighted in green, letting me know that I've already done a ticket for it. It's time to do stop number 2. If I go back to that route scheduled stop, just tap on it, I can go to the ticket history icon in the top right, and I would see that it did have an item of labor on that route ticket, and the start time and end time of that route ticket, 2:38 to 2:48. I can tap on that to bring up the route ticket and make changes. So basically I'll have the option to edit a ticket, resync it, resave it. You'll always see the last 4 route tickets done for any customer. This is going to be huge for our pool service customers and being able to get into that chemical data. So now I can just go back to my home screen and hit sync. Now while that synchronizes, your route tickets on the desktop are found under Route Info and then Route Ticket List. I'm going to go ahead and hit Sync Mobile Devices. Now I can go into my route ticket list, and here it is, the top one here, 238 to 248. Now it is time stamped, just so you know, is the tech can enter, the arrival and departure time, but it is time stamped of when he actually did the ticket. So that time that it time stamped should be between the arrival and departure. If it's way before, and he filled this ticket out ahead of time, trying to maybe trick you into thinking he was there from X to X, or maybe he did it after the fact and said he was there maybe on time. That is something the time entered he cannot control. I have the time on site, calculates how long he was there, 10 minutes. I've got my test comments, and then if I double click on this order number, I then see my line item for labor, and I see the rest of the details for the route ticket. Now, since I'm logged in as R1, I'm going to go to my customer list. This is the best way to protect your customers from your route techs. I'm only seeing, I've got 6,500 customers in this database. I only see the customers that are assigned to my route. This is a very nice feature. That way they only see their customers. They're not looking at anyone else's. They're not, what if you fire them and now they've got a full customer list and they run off. This protects you. The nice thing on the Android devices is I have a search bar at the top. I can search for a customer just by typing their name. As I type, it's going to filter that list for me. And then can tap on a customer to see the rest of their details. I could tap to see if they're on a route schedule at the bottom, customer route schedule. I would see that he's assigned, he's on Route 1, serviced on Tuesday. I can look up billing information, customer notes history. Whoop. I can also look up customer equipment. Any questions about using the mobile devices with the route schedule and using route tickets?
I guess my only thing is I use it on our iPad and our iPhone, and it looks so different, and this just looks so easier.
Right.
Am I missing like a update or something?
No, the iPhone or iPad app is different than the Droid version. Personal preference, I prefer the Droid over the iPad. Just it's what I'm used to. I've always had an Android device. I do have it on an iPhone. I know there are some differences. It is a little easier to navigate on the Droid, in my opinion. And we do have, I would say most of the customers would agree that it's overall easier and it works a little better on the Android.
Is there any way to take things off, like when you're entering in the ticket for the route, and I'm in the pool industry, so there's a whole bunch of different things on there. like meter readings and stuff, but we don't actually need it. Is there a way to take it off, or do I just ignore it?
For right now, we'll just have to ignore it. We are working on our new app for both iPhone, or it'll be cross-platform, so it'll be iPhone, Android, any web browser, anything that basically has internet that will give you customization options, where you can basically design your route ticket, pick and choose. I think you'll have up to 50 customizable fields that you'll define, and the text can use those and sync them back into the desktop.
Okay.
And that's something we're working on. And let me switch over to the pool route ticket here. The other big advantage of the Android devices, not to make you go out and spend more money, but 9 times out of 10, I mean, these are used in the field by your guys. They're not the most protective of the devices. They're going to get beat up. They're going to get banged up. What if they drop them in the water? Your Android devices, you pretty much a 2-to-1 for price. You can get almost for one Android, like my Android phones always are around $199 new. iPhone new is upwards of $500 if you have to replace it out of pocket. They're a lot cheaper and easier to replace if you have to. I just kind of wanted to show you what a ticket looks like here on the Android, just so you can see it. So I know on the iPhone they're kind of all grouped together, but Droid, we just kind of did it as a list here. That's really all I have really to kind of showcase with the mobile app. And unless you have some specific questions I could run you through, other than that, it's really all the mobile devices do, mainly managing the routes and the tasks.
Would it be possible to just show how you invoice from the ticket, the route ticket list or whatever?
Yeah.
And under route info, and then like you invoice it, and then it goes into QuickBooks. And I tried doing it the other day, and it just didn't look right. So I just didn't know what I did wrong.
Now, how do you charge your customers? Do you charge them on a per service basis?
Yeah, or we do a monthly charge for once a week service, so we'll charge them like $80 a month. And then I also add in the chemicals, so the chemicals are extra.
Okay,
So
so what I would need to do first is have my memorized transaction list. This memorized transaction list is going to control the base rate, or that kind of base per service charge.
Right.
So maybe I have weekly service. Let's place this here, weekly pool service. and let's say I charge a customer $30 a visit.
Mhm.
Now how the route tickets work is, let me get some of this other stuff out of here, the older tickets I have, is it's going to combine any of those, or it's going to combine that memorized transaction with any of the line items from the route tickets themselves. So you should see an invoice in QuickBooks that's itemized out with that one memorized transaction and then any other line items from all of the route tickets for that same customer on one invoice.
So do you have to wait till like the end of the month to invoice it, to post it to QuickBooks? Correct.
You do one monthly batched billing.
Okay.
So maybe I have, I'm just going to change my line items here. Maybe I have a, this is how I recommend it just because it looks nice, is I'm just going to add, you can do this when you're adding your chemicals, or the text can do this. I just put a notes item on here. I'll show you why I do this later. I do like weekly service visit or something like that. You can do it when, like I said, when you're adding the chemicals. And then let's say I also have, some chemical charges on here. So I've got my one route ticket, and over the course of a month you would have, maybe 4 or 5 of these depending on how many service visits they are and what frequency that customer is.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the month I would put in my date range that I'm billing for on my memorized transaction list. So let's say I'm billing for May based on route tickets and calculate number of route stops. So far it said I've been there one time, so it's adjusted my total for $30. I'm going to use this little drop down up here to change my item descriptions across the board. So I'm going to put in I'm going to change my weekly service, the description, to just say monthly service charge for May, for instance. And they'll do that across the board for all the customers. I could select a posting date, so I'm just going to maybe make that the same date, like the ending date of your billing cycle. And I'm going to post these to route tickets. So I can hit close on my memorized transaction list. And once I've posted those to route tickets, I want to go to tickets pending to post under route info. And here I'm going to see all the combined tickets. I'll see anything with the route admin, or if you logged into the service program as Angela, you would see a bunch of route tickets created by your username. Those are the memorized transactions from the list that we posted to route tickets. Those are the base rate, weekly service charges. It's going to be combined with a notes item and then any chemicals. And like I said, if you had 4 or 5 route tickets or 4 or 5 services for this customer, you would have 4 or 5 of these notes items and then multiple chemicals. So far, so good? And then I select up here the date range I'm billing for, so maybe 5/1 to 5/31. 5/31. There we go. Select the posting date as my invoice date, and then post to QuickBooks. When they post over, the tickets pending to post is erased, so they know they went over successfully. I then can go into QuickBooks. Let's take a look at that invoice here. Here it is. Now if I had 4 of these route tickets, and each one I put that notes item for the weekly service visit, the nice thing is that carries over with a service date. That's how I'm getting a service date to tell the customers basically I was there on the 14th, and if I had another route ticket for the following week, I would have weekly service visit and the date of service would carry over on that date. Then I have all my chemicals and my monthly service charge. And I'm turning off my item names and just doing description, the service column, and the amount. Makes it look nice in QuickBooks. Did yours come out similar to this, or?
I'm sorry, did you ask me a question?
Yeah, I was asking, did your invoice look similar to this?
Oh, yes, yes, it looks good. Sorry.
Okay. What issues were you having? Was it just, did you not do it like for the whole month, or were you trying to do it day by day?
Yep, that's what I was doing.
Okay. If you do it in one batch billing, that's when the magic happens and it does all the combining.
Right.
All right, we've hit our hour mark. Thank you, Keith, Angela, thank you for coming, and hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.